Late Night Health continues. In about a half hour, we're going to talk to the love doctor for February, Dr. Dudley Danoff. He's been a guest many times on the show. We're going to talk about love for Valentine's Day. He is a urologist, so you guys can you can figure that out for yourself. You like that, huh?
That was good, yeah.
Good.
That's perfect.
And our guest now is one of them wise guys, right?
I don't know about that. There was a time, I guess, when I was a wise young man, but you don't get old and be a fool, see?
That is true. Paul-Carafotes is our guest. He's an actor. He's still acting from back east, Brooklyn, New Jersey?
No, I grew up in Boston.
Oh, okay.
I grew up in Boston, and but I did move to New York, where I got my start. My very first job was about 18 months after landing in New York City. Joanna Merlin, the great actress and casting director, who happened to be my teacher by stroke of luck, cast me in my first movie for 20th Century Fox called Headin for Broadway. It also starred Dirk Smith, Harry Trees, and Vivian Reed.
Wow! And you hung
around.
I was
20 years old.
You're 20.
I was 20. Yeah, I mean that was the promise. I wanted to be a Beatle. See,
okay.
When I was a boy, I grew up listening to music. My father was a big band enthusiast. He took me to see Gene Krupa. And I played with him. I played with Gene Krupa at Paul's Mall when I was 8. My mother was a closet jazz pianist, but she was a music teacher, taught high school music, and so there was lots of kids, 6 kids, and lots of music, lots of plays, lots of stuff, lots of a very musical name. Anyway.
As we talk, yes,
a musical name for crying out loud,
and lots of food too. I mean,
we haven't stopped that. That still continues to this day.
All right, we'll be over for lunch. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
You went from an actor,
right,
to writing a series of children's books.
Correct.
So let's talk about during the time you were an actor, I mean, and you still are.
Well, I wrote a few screenplays. James Gandolfini was a dear friend of mine, produced a play I wrote about my dad back in my father died in 92, so I wrote this story about my relationship with him called Beyond the Ring, and Jimmy produced that, and we did that here, in which I won the LA Drama Critics Award for Best Writer. I was also nominated for Best Actor in that, but the kid, it was just 2-character play, a father and son. And we were on stage for 90 minutes. We never left the stage. It was like a new concept at the time, and I aged 30 years before the audience. I played my father. I hired somebody else to play me, a wonderful young actor. And we did that show, and Jimmy produced that. And so from there, I was, like I said, I did music, so I would play things. And Jimmy and I hung out lots. We were in lots of bar rooms and fights, and like the typical old Hollywood stories. We loved each other, and we fought, and we did a lot of stuff together, and it was great. And
were you abusing at the time?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah. So, but very healthy. I was a healthy abuser because, you see, I would get whacked out, and then I would get up and run 5 miles and do 1,000 push-ups and 500 sit-ups, and so you always look good on the outside, but on the inside, I was dying. I didn't know what I had. I certainly didn't know what was going on, but I was a very healthy, from all appearances. I ate very well, and I took care of my body, but at that time, I smoked and drank and partied, and, I was up at the Playboy Mansion and running around at the beach and riding waves and girls, and it was crazy, and we had, that's what you're supposed to do in your 20s. When
that's
you're in
true, but what about when you're in your 40s? What happened?
Well, I still continued, but I got married at about 35 or so. I got married for the first time, and that was a short-lived marriage, but that's when I started to write. That's when I wrote the play about my dad. So I morphed, and I was always writing music. That was another thing Jimmy used to laugh at and think that's why he said I was so crazy, was I'd play him songs I'd written, and he'd say, "You wrote this?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That's why you're crazy. You got too much going on, man." But he was always supportive, and so through my 30s, it continued. But when I turned to 40 is when I started to, that's when I realized that, okay, enough's enough with this. Can't continue.
When did that light switch go off for you and say, hey, I got to clean up my act?
Well, I thought I wasn't getting the work that I thought I should be doing. I think that I was, starting to abuse the things in your life. You just start behaving differently. You don't care as much. You're not taking care of yourself. You're, not showing up for things that you should go to. You just start. And after a while, just the behavior, I started looking at it thinking, where am I? Is this, you're hanging around with people you don't want to hang around with. You're in bar rooms till they close. That kind of thing. So, eventually you just get, sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you go, that's enough, And, there's a few things that happen. I wasn't working. I wasn't getting any more work as an actor, really. I mean, here and there I'd get a job. And
well, you've got two things coming up. You've got a few
restaurants, and I got fired from that job.
Oh, my.
For drinking on the job. So I went, okay, well, maybe it's time to do something about what's going on here. So that's what I did.
How did you come up with Charlie Bubbles?
Well, I got married. I was getting a little older now. I've been off the sauce for a few years, maybe, and I got married a second time. I wanted to have a family. And, this has been an internal question I'm sure you've asked yourself and many other people who are listening with, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? And when my son was born, I knew immediately that that's who I was. I was a dad. I was somebody's dad, and with that came great responsibility. And, of course, through the whole process of my wife being pregnant at the time, which was the best time in our relationship, pediatricians were talking about reading to the baby, before the baby's born, and how this will help develop his brain or her brain. And so we did a lot of that. I was reading to her belly and singing and rubbing it and singing songs to the belly. And so right to the moment he was born, we didn't know it was going to be a boy or girl. It came out a boy. And my ex-wife was a hairdresser, so she went back to work right away, and I stayed home. So part of the bonding thing was I read to him all the time. I'd take him up on the roof, sit him down there, and I'd start reading these books, and I started thinking to myself, I could do this. I could write a book.
And it took you how long to write that very first book?
Well, it took about 5 years. And what it was, I used to blow these bubbles off my tongue, you see, and Charlie would try to smile. Big smile would come over his face, and he'd laugh and try to burst the bubbles and try to grab the bubbles. And I sat at my kitchen table, and I daydreamed as I did as a boy about getting to Hollywood and being in the movies. I started to daydream about what it would be like if Charlie could blow a big enough bubble, get in that bubble, and go on these adventures. And that's where it began. So he was the inspiration for these books, and I did the first book as a gift to him, just as a passing along something, father to the son. This is what I did for you. Someday when he's a dad, he might read this to his children and say, this is what my dad did with me. And it's turned into something else. Again, Gandolfini steps up, and he wants to be involved. He loved the idea of that. He became a dad himself for a second time around the same time. And he,
How old were you when your son was born?
48.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so I was an older dad. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, so that's what happened. And so we started to, go around to hospitals and schools and read to the kids and give books out. And a lot of these celebrities, Joe Mantegna, Chris McDonald, Tony Dennison, a lot of people loved the books. E.G. Daly, they all said nice things about the books, and they all stepped up. We'd grab all these books and go around the hospitals and give them out to kids, and I'd read. And Valentine's
Well, The Adventures of Charlie Bubbles, by the way, you can go to charliebubblesbook.com, or you can go to latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com, and take a look at our guest Paul, as well as some covers of the book, and there'll be some links there. There's also a CD entitled Sing with Charlie Bubbles.
Just came out, brand new. 7 new songs. 5 of them have to do with the books, the characters. They're really good songs. We're getting lots of great feedback on those as well, so that's a good thing.
And I think it'll be on iTunes in just a week or so.
Yes.
Sometime this week.
You can get it now at charliebubblesbook.com. CD Baby's got it. Amazon has got the album now, as well as all the books. And iTunes will have it very shortly. And they may have it as we speak. Sing with Charlie Bubbles, maybe we'll have to check that in the break. Maybe it's up already, but if it's not, it'll be within a week.
Gotcha. Let's talk about something interesting to me. You said you were a late father, and James became a late father. What was it like becoming a dad later in life?
Well, I don't have any. The only experience I have is that. So I don't know what it would be like. I'll tell you this. I mean, you have more patience I wanted to spend, and to this day, I spend as much time as possible. I'm involved with him in his school. I coach his baseball teams. You get to be a lot more hands-on. I am completely involved in every aspect of his life.
And you're a single dad, too.
Yes, I'm a single dad. So,
and we're going to talk about that in our second, time together in just a few few moments. We'll also talk about some of the key principles that you share in the adventures of Charlie Bubbles. Earlier in the last hour, we talked about how kids, older kids primarily, don't really develop relationships because they're stuck on their iPhone. They're stuck on their Android. This is Mark Allen. I am talking with our guest, Paul.
Actor, singer, writer, dancer, performer.
Dancer. Oh, good. He can teach us how to dance.
Yeah, that's a good health thing,
Right.
Moving around.
Right. Paul Carafotes. And we're, just two dads talking about the favorite thing that we like to talk about, our kids. Don't go away. Much more coming up. So,
hey, stay tuned, folks, because we got some music, too, for you.
Yeah, we're going to throw in some music. I didn't tell you that, but we'll figure that out. Okay, I'm just talking to the boss man here. Okay. All right, don't go away. Join us at latenighthealth.com. Go to facebook.com/Late Night Health. And, of course, iTunes is now featuring us. So go to iTunes and download us, subscribe. All right, Paul and I get back together talking about our kids in just a couple of moments. Don't go away. Much more coming up.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt that is straining your monthly budget? Have you been turned down for a personal loan, credit card, or mortgage? We'll quickly connect you with expert financial resources that provide free information that helps save you time and money and get you back on track. Don't spend hours a day searching for help. With just one phone call, we'll quickly connect you with your debt solution. We have programs to settle your debt, lower your bills, and cut your monthly payments. Call 800-989-8123 to get a free debt analysis to help you reduce your debt and get you back on track. The call is free, secure, and confidential. Call 800-989-8123. 800-989-8123. 800-989-8123. That's 800-989-8123.
Thanks for calling Consolidated Credit Counseling Services. Can I help you?
I sure hope so. I'm in debt.
Is it credit card bills?
Yes, I have 2 credit cards that I'm making minimum payments on and another that I'm behind on. I owe about $5,000.
What interest rates are you paying?
Between 18 and 22%.
At that rate, it'll take over 20 years to pay off.
Wow, 20 years?
What Consolidated Credit can do is work with your creditors to lower your payments and reduce or even eliminate your interest charges. You should be able to pay everything off in 3 or 4 years.
What do I have to do?
Just give me some details and get ready to celebrate your freedom from debt.
We're Consolidated Credit. We're here to give you freedom from debt. Call now for your free consultation.
If I had known it was this easy, I would have called years ago.
Call 1-800-229-1964. 1-800-229-1964. That's 1-800-229-1964.
Consolidated Credit Counseling Services Incorporated, 5701 West Sunlight Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33313. Not a loan company licensed by New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Maryland DM 19, Oregon DM 80031.